Talofa Bulavanaka, g'day mate. Welcome back to Bros Biz, the the place where three long-time mates sit and talk shit. I'm Kent, one of the co-creators of the show. I'm here with Ray and Nick. How are you fellas doing today?
Fantastic.
Mate, and you forgot Malole Lee.
Oh, Malole Lee. Sorry, well that's going to be a very interesting part of the topic.
Relevant for this topic.
Hey, before we get into it, please like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. That would be awesome, guys. We also have a Facebook page you can follow, the Bros Business Podcast. Check us out. So, guys, speaking of that introduction where I genuinely forgot to leave out the Tongan welcome. The World Cup's blowing up this week. So we're recording Saturday morning. The Tonga Samoa game hasn't actually happened yet, but obviously in the last few days there's been war on the streets of Auckland. What do you guys think?
First of all, we love our Tongan brothers.
What happened?
Yeah, give us some
So
background.
I don't really have a dog in this fight, so
I don't have a dog in the fight either. Well, it depends on how you look at it. But let's talk about what happened. So fans were supporting both teams who flew into Auckland for their game in Hamilton this week, and then fans right throughout the suburbs were celebrating. They were flying their colours like fans should. So don't get me wrong. Yeah. And 99% of the fans were there for the right reasons. Yep. And so they were there flying their flags, wearing their jerseys, cheering on their supporters. And then from a couple of young guys, I don't know exactly how young, they're teenagers is what you can see on the vid. There became a bit of the banter went too far, and then one of the Tongan supporters started burning a Samoan flag. and look, I can laugh. I mean, I understand how disrespectful that is, right? But I'm laughing at how it escalated quickly, and then it became physical to the point where there were all-ins and 4 people got arrested.
Wow. And
then they sort of carried on later on that day where, though it didn't escalate into violence, there was an example of a video where in South Auckland, cars were stopped at a stop sign, and one car had the Tongan flag draped across their hood.
Yep.
And a Samoan supporter got out and ripped it off their hood and threw it on the ground and got back in their car and drove away. So essentially, it's got to the point where a sports game
has turned violent.
Has turned violent, and now there are a whole lot of celebrities of both Tongan and Samoan descent coming out and trying to calm the situation down. And there's concern that it's going to boil over at tonight's game.
Nick is loving it. He's sitting there with the smoke on his face.
Yeah, I think it's going to blow up tonight.
You do?
Yep.
No.
After the game.
There's extra. Oh, you think this
when the manu or the tour gets sussed, that's going to go crazy, mate.
On the streets of Hamilton.
The streets of Hamilton.
Is it in Hamilton? It is in Hamilton.
They're going to burn tonight.
Man, I hope not. I hope not. But you can't just very volatile. Some people are so passionate. And it doesn't matter how many celebrities come out. It's only going to take one
hothead
incident.
Yeah. And alcohol.
And someone to respond for it to escalate. So, well, I hope nothing happens. But yeah.
And what we know about young men from that culture, those cultures, is that no one likes to take a backward step. No one wants to diffuse things, and only too willing to
partake in a bit of
take it
combat.
further.
So I mean, because the sad thing is that you're right. In a lot of the situations, if someone walked away, they'd be referred to as bara, like drop nuts or whatever. Even if they're taking the high, they're going, actually, this is just a fucking sports game.
Yeah, because it's not seen as the higher ground.
No,
that's why,
it's not.
so culturally, that's not seen as taking the higher ground and what would you call it?
The mature approach.
The mature approach.
Yeah.
Being a bit humble, showing some maturity, and walking away.
It's
easy for us to say at our advanced ages because we're not getting involved in that sort of shit. But and we understand what it's like to be a young guy, passionate about thing, confident in your own abilities and all the rest of it. But and with the added thing of having your mates with you or your family with you, and then someone shitting on your culture or the country that you're probably not from, but that you have a lot of
passion for. Yeah.
So I made a joke yesterday to my brother-in-law. It's like making the assumption because of the age of the guys that they were New Zealand born, like they're New Zealanders. So the older they are, the more likely or the more higher possibility that they're island born and raised. So my assumption was that they were Kiwis, and I said it was like a my dad's better than your dad fight. Like they're all there fighting over countries their parents chose to leave in New Zealand. Like it just seems like the Cronulla riots that happened here, you know, where a whole lot of Aussies, for want of a better term, white people, fought. There's the big brawl at Cronulla at the beach with the guys of Lebanese descent, and it was even the media pushed it as Lebanese versus Australian. And when you're interviewing these Lebanese, they're all Australian too. It's Australians versus Australian over whose dad's better than my dad's better than your dad.
I think we could sit here for hours and hours and debate why people are passionate about where their fathers come from. But I guess the point now is they're just, obviously there's two groups of people that are passionate about their heritage. One group has insulted the other, and then they've just started verbally abusing each other, and then it's escalated. So I think the point is it's just ridiculous. Like it's at the end of the day, it's a game, and they're similar. They're very similar cultures. Do you know what I mean? Like I know so many people that if they're not supporting the Toa Samoa team, they're supporting Tonga and vice versa. But as soon as they clash, it's like they're at war.
I think it's not like you look at parts of the world like the former Yugoslavia, where they essentially they speak the same language, but there'll be some slightly different cultural practices. But there's still conflict today that stems out of the civil war from the former Yugoslavia. Like Bosnian, Serbian, Croatian. There are especially older people that really still harbour ill feeling towards any one of those other countries for no other reason other than what happened way back then. You know what I mean? And it's and this is some of the things. So if I use the former Yugoslavia as an example, these are some of the things that. So passing down culture and history is a great thing, but it can also be, if you're passing down hate, it can also be a real dangerous thing. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing about it. Respect where your parents come from, respect where you come from, everything that makes up who you are. But you've got to start making some decisions around what you feel was right and wrong. And I think even today, if you ask the young kid that burnt the Samoan flag, if he had his time again, I'm sure he'd do something different.
I think he showed a bit of remorse. I think he's gone on Facebook and
one of his parents did. I saw
apologised on his behalf, or said that there's some Samoans married into the family.
Yeah, so there's probably a bit of that. But I think we're naive if you don't think that there are groups of dudes today in Hamilton planning for
trouble.
Yeah,
of course.
You know what I mean? Tonight.
Yeah.
In fact, there's probably some who are wired the way that they weren't even going to go to the game until that shit happened, and now they're driving from Auckland or wherever.
Or
they're not
going to watch the game.
They're not going to watch the
game.
They're going to go and fucking have trouble in the streets afterwards.
Yeah.
No. Let's have faith that they're peace-loving people, and none of that stuff will
Look,
happen.
we're actually realists.
I don't have a faith-based approach. Sorry.
Well, when this comes out, we'll hopefully
we're proven wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully we're proven wrong, and if by some fucking small chance any of you ballers are listening, fucking have a think about what you're planning to do tonight. And how that will reflect on your country.
He's trying to relate with his English.
Hey, I'm trying to put a serious message out here to the people, to the young men of that are supporting those teams.
So the issue is that it also
calm your farm.
Well, so and I think the media, much like the Cronulla riots thing, that actually triggered something for me. Was I actually think the cultural issue is not Samoa and Tongan. I think the cultural issue is the Auckland culture, because these issues seem to happen in Auckland all of the time. There are Tongans and Samoans all throughout New Zealand, or in parts of America,
Australia,
parts of Australia. But these issues don't come out here, and so I'm not sure if it's a gang culture there or the. So if you think of, so I'm not saying it hasn't happened on a one-on-one situation, but can you give me an example of where there's been, like you look at what happened at the markets in Otara when the machetes happened years ago as well. So I'm not saying that they're regular events. Don't get me wrong, but they seem to be happening in the same place all the time.
And if they are events here, then are they racially driven? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or is
So
it?
if a Tongan and a Samoan is out and they have a physical confrontation, is it because they're Tongan Samoan, or is it just because of some random incident? But people start relating it back to the tension between the two cultures. Like, I don't see any of that here in Queensland.
No.
Brisbane, yep.
So I guess it's a question, is what I'm saying, is that is it the environment that these young kids are growing up in that causes that not causes it, because I think the rugby event and then how people acted on the day has what's triggered it,
yep.
But it's this underlying...
There's that historical context that's always been there.
Yep.
And that, people can't seem to sort of let go of. And then there's the stuff that happened, in Auckland in the 80s. And, so I don't know. I've always thought that there's a tension there, especially when it comes to sort of sporting events.
Yeah, there's... I thought it was a healthy competitiveness.
Yeah, so I would have said that. So I would have
especially
said
here.
It's no different to an All Black Springbok rivalry or an All Black Wallaby rivalry. For me, it's a sporting rivalry, not a football hooligan type tension, like in the UK where you see like fucking people arming up to go to a soccer game. I never thought that. I thought there was always healthy rivalry or even fierce rivalry, but it was a sporting rivalry. Whereas I think what's blowing out on the streets is far more than sport, which is really disappointing. We can't fix this shit.
That's a wrap.
We're not trying to fix this shit, but
we're just trying to have the conversation.
Yeah, but
So anyway, good luck to both Samoa and Tonga tonight. Up the Kiwis. Fuck yous all. Please, like Nick said, if you're going to the game, go for the game. Don't go for any other shit. And it's okay to walk away. Anything else? No? All right. Like and subscribe. See you next week.